Welcome to DIYMAN. Today, we're going to be building a workbench, but this workbench has one special feature.
I'm going to start this project today by cutting up four 4x4s to 29.5 inches. These 4x4s are going to make some nice sturdy legs for my workbench. Next, we're going to cut up 3 2x4s at 69 inches and 3 at 48 inches. We're going to be using these for the side bracing on the workbench today. On this next part, I had some used casters laying around. I'll throw a link in the description below for some that will work. Ideally, you want to have casters with brakes. I'll have to add some kind of brake to mine later on. Now we'll just throw these on with some lag screws. Now I'm just going to make some marks 9 inches up from the bottom of the wood here. My casters are 3 inches tall, so that'll make my bottom shelf 12 inches from the ground. Today I'm going to assemble this workbench using a framing nailer. You could easily assemble it with screws if you wanted, but this is a really easy way to do it. By the way, I highly recommend this nail gun. It's really high quality for a really great price. I'll put a link in the description for you. Now let's assemble the two long sides of our workbench. These two 2x4s you see here, these are the 69 inchers we cut out earlier. Now for that bottom board, we're going to put the top of it right on that 9-inch mark we made earlier. Don't forget to square up all these pieces as you're assembling. For the side where the miter saw is going, I'm only going to put a bottom board on. I'm not going to put the top one on yet. Now let's attach the two sides with 48-inch 2x4s. On the side where the table saw is going, I'm only going to put the bottom board on. Let's take a quick measurement to see how high the platform needs to sit for the table saw. Now I'll just make a couple marks here on the end so I can mount that to the correct height. Let's cut up two 2x4s at 48 inches and 2 at 17 inches. Let's mount this platform so that the top of our table saw sits flush with the top of our workbench. Here I'm going to cut up a couple boards that are 11 inches long for some bracing. This platform is going to be 48 inches wide and 20 inches long. It should fit most smaller table saws. I'm just making a couple cutouts here so it fits flush right up against the edges there. I decided to move my 2x4 to the other side here. I think I want my miter saw on this side instead. Next I'm going to take a couple measurements of my miter saw base. I'm going to build a little box for it to sit on. I'm just building this out of 1x3s and scrap plywood I had laying around. My box needed to be 25.5 inches long and 14.5 inches wide. Next I need to figure out how low I want this box to sit down inside my workbench. Then I'll cut a piece of plywood to that width. Don't forget to take the tabletop thickness into account. I needed to subtract a 1/2 inch on mine. We'll cut this into 2 pieces that are the width of this box. Now for 2 more 2x4s at 45 inches. Next I'll assemble these with wood glue and a small nail gun. Time to install some 20-inch drawer slides. Are you trying to figure out what I'm doing yet? Let's double check to make sure our miter saw base is going to be flush with our tabletop. Now we'll take a quick measurement and cut out 2 2x4s. These need to fit on the side that the miter saw is on. I needed 2 that are 21¼ inches. Let's go ahead and slap this guy onto our workbench. As you might have guessed, this sliding miter saw box is a special feature on this workbench, but wait to see how awesome it works. These are just a couple 24-inch 1x2s I cut out for bracing. Let's see where this table saw is going to have the most amount of movement. I'll cut out a couple 2x4s here to trim it out, and then we'll cut a notch out where our table saw is going to sit. I just used a little bit of wood glue and some sheetrock screws to attach the tabletop. Next, we'll cut out a hole for the miter saw to sit in. Once you get this little piece of wood cut out, don't throw it away yet. You're going to like this next part. Unless you bought really long drawer slides, you're going to want to trim that flat edge off just a little bit. Next, I'm just going to cut out a couple pieces of scrap wood and then I'll attach them underneath the bottom here. You'll see what I'm doing in just a second. I ended up needing to cut out a little notch here so my table saw fence can ride all the way down to the edge. Now we'll just use some 1x2s to stiffen it up a little bit. Let's cut one more 2x4 to 45 inches so we can use it for bracing on the bottom. For the bottom shelf, I'm just going to cut a piece of 1/2 inch plywood to 4 foot by 4 foot. Then I'll notch out the corners so it sits flush up against the edge. I'll attach this piece with the nail gun. Now feel free to pretty it up the way you want to. I'm just going to router the edges here and sand it down a little bit, but it would look really good painted too. Justin's so jealous of my new workbench. Wow, Justin, only little kids do this to other people's camera. Time for the finishing touches. Now watch how this miter saw moves out of the way so I can cut out a giant piece of plywood. Then when you're done, it easily slides right back into place. I'm so excited to use this new workbench. My knees and back are probably more excited than any of us. Hey guys, I really appreciate you joining me today on DIYMAN. Be sure to smash like if you enjoyed this video or got value out of it. And comment below to let me know what you think about the sliding miter saw. Sometimes I think I came up with a new idea when in reality it's been around for 10-15 years. So let me know in the comments below if you would. And thanks again for joining me.